Okay, good to start the week here on the Packers. We're bringing the guys in the afternoon. They're wrapping up virtual meetings as we speak. They were in here getting a lift earlier, and then we'll be out on the field starting our preparations for Green Bay. We're on a short week, so we really have to go full speed ahead. Thought the guys were engaged in the meetings today. Obviously, a huge challenge going to Lambeau versus a really good football team. They're well coached. They have great players. So we got to be about our business. They present challenges on offense, defense, and special teams. Obviously, offensively, with Aaron Rodgers, he's playing great. He is great. So we're gonna have to really hone in on ways to slow him down, and with their pass attack and run attack, it's balanced. Defensively, Joe Barry does a great job with that defense. They have some really good edge rushers. They're multiple in the back end. Jerry Gray's their defensive backs coach, who I know well from our Vikings days together. And you can see they're doing a nice job in the back end with disguise, playing multiple coverages, just doing a really nice job in coverage. And then they pressure the quarterback. They do a really nice job. They will blitz, but oftentimes they're bringing four and they're applying pressure. So we got to be really locked in this week. Like I said, on this short week, we got to make sure that we make today count, make tomorrow count, and then we'll get on the plane and head to Green Bay. And with that, I'll take any questions.
Thank you very much, Coach. We'll start with Jake Trotter.
Yeah, hey, Kevin, clarification from yesterday. You were talking about the 10-day window in terms of guys when they are put on the COVID list and then when they're eligible to come back. So, just to clarify, I believe Baker went on that on the 15th of December. You said he'd be good to go for the game. So is it fair to assume that everybody who went on the 15th or earlier, of which you have a bunch of guys still on the COVID list, that you would anticipate them being able to play in Green Bay?
It's my understanding, Jake, that yes, at the 10-day they're available, but with each player, we'll obviously have dialogue with them, with the medical staff, make sure that we treat each guy differently, like we always do with any injury, really. But those guys, yes, they'd be available to play.
So in other words, if they weren't exhibiting symptoms at that point and you felt comfortable, at least eligible-wise, they'd be ready to go.
That's right.
Okay, thanks, Kevin.
Thank you, Jake. Tom Withers is next.
Thanks, Rob. Hey, Kevin, first of all, how relieved are you to be out of the protocols and kind of be back functioning somewhat at normal pace?
Yeah, good to be back. Obviously working remotely is something that we all did a bunch of last year. So it's definitely doable to work remotely and game plan remotely, run meetings, et cetera. But good to be back in person.
And just to clean up a little news from earlier today, J.C. Treader said that there were discussions last week about the games being canceled. I know that didn't happen, but were you aware of that, Kevin? And was that something that was potentially on the table?
I was doing my job, Tom. JC has those conversations with all those important people. I'm focused on trying to help these guys, but no, that wasn't really in my wheelhouse.
If I could sneak in one more. Myles Garrett, what's the latest?
Yeah, we'll see. He's, we're walking through today, so not doing much from a physical standpoint, but I'll get my eyes on him today and we'll see how it goes.
Thanks.
Thank you, Tom. Daryl Ryder, you're up.
Yeah, Kevin, specifically with Baker and some of these other guys that could potentially become eligible to play on Saturday, what are you having them do behind the scenes? Obviously, they can't be in the facility, they can't practice, those type of things. But do you or the staff have them doing some things on their own to prepare themselves from a physical standpoint to be able to play?
Yeah, I think there's limits, Daryl, to what they can be doing when you're in this protocol. So we're really focused on making sure that they're locked in from a game plan standpoint, and then whatever they're capable of doing on their own, that's really up to them.
And then just, you talked about the challenges that the Packers present, especially offensively right now as it stands. It's looking like you're going to be limited defensively. You have some questions up front that you have to answer before Saturday. Just what type of a challenge does that present to you, as well as Joe Woods, as you're trying to put this game plan together when you're not sure who you're going to have, and you're also not sure those that you might have, just how much you're going to be able to get out of them?
Yeah, I think the challenge, Daryl, is facing a really good Packers team. They have star players. They're very well coached. So we have our work cut out for us. Who's available to us? All those type of things. We'll just deal with it day by day.
Thanks, Daryl. Tony Grossi, go ahead.
All right, not to belabor that point about game day eligibility, but I'm still confused because I thought there was the 4 p.m. deadline the day before. Would this be a special COVID exemption for those players to fly out on the day of the game?
Yeah, I don't know the specifics, Tony, honestly, to expand on it, but it's my understanding that on day 10, if they get cleared through the medical staff, that they would be available.
Even though that day 10 is the day of the game?
As far as I understand.
Okay. Just one other thing. Have you ever seen a receiver triple team before like Devontae Adams was?
Can't say I have. You've seen teams over the years. I can think of teams when they used to face Antonio Gates, they'd vice him at the line of scrimmage, take a linebacker and maybe a defensive end and vice him. But he got quite a lot of attention. And listen, he's a great player. I mean, he's just a really, really good player. Those two together have a great rapport in the pass game. So you have to have a plan for him.
Good, thanks.
Thank you, Tony. Mary Kay Cabot will have our next one.
Yeah, just to follow up real quick on Miles. Since you were waiting for results of tests yesterday, did you get some good news on the MRI or whatever he did?
Yeah, I think, Mary Kay, we're just gonna have to work through it. He has an injury there. We'll see if it prevents him from playing. We'll see if it prevents him from practicing. I think we're not there yet. We just gotta see how he does today and the next day.
And then as far as Greg going on the COVID list today, I'm sure that was a little bit of a disappointment for you, but also maybe can you comment on how well Greedy has played in his absence?
Yeah, it's disappointing when we don't have our guys for any reason. You don't want anybody to get injured. You don't want anybody to get sick. So certainly not looking for anybody to go on that list. But yeah, Greedy stepped up and he's done that throughout the season when called upon. And we'll continue to call upon him this week as well.
Thank you.
Thanks, Mary Kay. Scott Petrick, go ahead.
Hey, Kevin, what was the reasoning behind the decision to cut Jamie and go with Dustin the rest of the year?
Yeah, I think, Dustin did a nice job. I'm disappointed for Jamie. I spoke to Jamie, but that's part of this business. So he understands that.
And on Aaron Rodgers, 30 touchdowns and 4 picks. I'm curious, when you watch him, what are you most impressed by and what's toughest to plan to defend?
Yeah, I mean, he's a great player. I don't think you guys need me to tell you that. I've seen him up close many times when I was with the Vikings. He's supremely talented, processes information really well. Alex Van Pelt was with him in Green Bay, so Alex has good knowledge about the things that he does well, and there's a lot of them. But he's a special talent.
Thanks.
Thank you, Scott. We'll go to Dan Lobby.
Hey, Kevin, I want to go back to JC and just kind of ask you, last week he's kind of wearing those multiple hats. He's got to play center for you guys, but then he's also dealing with probably what had to be one of the most stressful weeks as the NFLPA president. How did you kind of see him juggle all that?
Yeah, he does juggle that. He understands how important that role is and how important his role is for us. Having the extra days to prepare from a mental standpoint, I think were probably helpful for all the guys up front. When you don't have a full, going into it, you didn't have a full schedule, if you will, of practice and meeting time. So I think we tried to maximize those extra days in terms of getting a great understanding of what we were doing.
And then I'm just kind of curious, obviously all your time in Minnesota, you went to Lambeau Field a lot, but is there still something kind of special about going and playing a game there, especially one on Christmas?
Yeah, I think it's a great venue in our league. I'd encourage everybody, all the Browns fans that is, to check it out. It's a special place, and I think certainly as visitors going in there, you get some extra juice playing in that venue in front of those fans. It's quite a place to play, especially we're the only game on TV, only show in town.
Thank you.
Thanks, Dan. Ashley Bastock is next.
Hey, Kevin, another roster move question for you just to activate Austin today. I guess just how important is that to get another tight end back, given how much you guys use them in the system?
Yeah, it'll be great to get Hoop back out here. He's stayed engaged throughout this whole process for him. But as you know, we'll use him. Looking forward to getting him back out there.
Thanks.
Thank you, Ashley. Marla Ridenour, go ahead.
Yeah, Kevin, when we talked to Malik Jackson, he was talking about, the other defensive ends like Porter Gustin, I mean, I just wondered what you saw out of those guys who were called, for a big role and, how you feel about how they played.
Yeah, I think a lot of those guys, Marla, have played for us at moments this season. Think of Porter going back to last year, making some big plays for us. And then go through this season. Afadi's made some plays, and Joe. So they've done a nice job. And if their number's called, they gotta respond.
And did you reach out to Greg Newsome? I mean, I'm sure he was really bummed, especially after being out with a concussion and now this.
Yeah, I've talked to our guys. It's unfortunate, Marla. Again, first and foremost, number one thing for us is our players' health and safety. So it's unfortunate that he's dealing with this, especially coming off of, a freak thing with a concussion.
Thank you.
Thanks, Marla. We'll go to Nate Ulrich.
Hey, Kevin, is Greg still in concussion protocol too?
Yes, I believe so.
Okay. And, obviously you addressed the punter decision earlier. Are you still working through a kicker decision? You do have one on the practice squad, as we know, or are you going to go into Green Bay with Chase McLaughlin still having the job?
Yeah, Chase is our kicker, and I told you guys the other day, he has high expectations for himself. We expect him when he's out there to make his kicks, and we're counting on him, and I think he knows that.
Thank you.
Thanks, Nate. Back to Tony Grossi.
Okay, I've tried to do the math on Jedrick Wills, and he appears his 10-day window will occur before the game, right? Is that
Yes.
correct?
Yes.
So does that enable you to practice your right tackle, the guy you want at right tackle, even though Wills isn't available for practice yet?
Yeah, Tony, I would tell you all of it is fluid because we got to make decisions based on each player and how they were feeling throughout this, how they're feeling now, what kind of physical shape they're in. So we'll just make decisions as we go. And then part of that, the reason for that, Tony, and how fluid it is, we don't know what's going to happen tomorrow in terms of guys maybe testing out.
Thank you.
Thanks, Tony. Scott Petrick, go to you.
Hey, Kevin, I had a couple injury or COVID questions. Kareem Hunt and Troy Hill were injured and on the list. Do you know if they'd be ruled out strictly for injury this week?
I don't expect either of them to make it this week due to injury. Yes.
Okay. And then you mentioned Green Bay being balanced. What makes that running attack so good? I know everybody's worried about Rodgers, but then they seem to run it up the middle a bunch.
Yeah, they just have a really good scheme. I think they do a nice job pairing the run and the pass. Coach LaFleur and his experience, you see the wide zone, you see some of the movement stuff they do. And then with Aaron Rodgers and his experience with the RPOs that he's mastered over the course of his career, I think they have a good blend of those attacks.